Mean It Show podcast with your host. I Really Mean It Show podcast with your host. I Really Mean It Show podcast with your host. RGB.
Yet still, this is the I Really Mean It Show podcast with your host, RGB, coming to you on Friday, October the 13th, as we do each and every Friday, or what we hope to on Friday, although we came last time on a Saturday. But today's Friday the 13th, that means nothing is safe, baby. Nothing at all. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you for your feedback. Last week was at the Menfo Fest out at Shelby Farms. Got great feedback. I appreciate all of the inboxes and all the well wishes and the support from that. It was fantastic, and it turned out to be a great event, and we hope to get out to other events as well. But with no delay, because we've got a really heavy topic discussion for today, several things I want to get into. The NFL, which is referred to sometimes as the No Fun League, is actually referred to officially as the National Football League. But I'm referring to it some as the No Freedom League. And we're going to get into why that is and some of my thoughts on the week from some of the activities and things that have taken place as it relates to the NFL. Of course, the NBA is looking to get started next week. They're starting a little bit early. They cut the preseason a little bit. But they're looking to start the regular season. Shout out to Tony Allen, TA, former Memphis Grizzly, who is now a New Orleans Pelican, who will be coming on the last preseason game, will actually have his jersey retired, and rightfully so. Some people outside of the Grizzlies nation had a little bit of laughs to that, given that typically you retire jerseys for players who had huge statistical impacts and things like that. And Tony had that. Well, Tony was not a 25, 30 point per game scorer or 15 rebounds and that kind of thing. From a cultural standpoint, and we talk about a lot in business, is a lot of times it's not about the big gaudy stats that you put up, but how you impact a culture. And it's undeniable that Tony Allen, along with some others, with Zach Randolph and some others that over the last 6, 7, 8 years have really impacted the culture of the Memphis Grizzlies in terms of their involvement in the community and then how they played on the court. And although they did not win a championship or national championship, however you want to put it, they were very instrumental in providing a culture and a rich culture that still exists today, even though those players are now no longer with the Memphis Grizzlies. So a lot of that going on this week. Oh man, did y'all see the vicious freestyle by rapper Eminem at the BET Awards? Woo! So I'm gonna play that for y'all and let y'all hear it, and then I'm gonna talk some about it and give a little bit of commentary on my thoughts. We're gonna talk a little bit about locally here. Makita's Cookies has now been around for 18 years, and that's very significant in this community. Anybody that's familiar with Makita's Cookies, and my goodness, if you've had them, you know what kind of cookies you're talking about here now. You're not talking about the little cookies out at the side store now. You're talking about the real deal. And shout out to my girl Tamika. But I want to tell you guys a little bit about Makita's Cookies. Many of you are familiar with the story, so I'm not going to get into the story with Makita and kind of what all took place. But I want to share with you what they're doing today and kind of going forward and how you can support. I did want to talk a little bit about the importance of customer service. I've seen in social media and with business owners that I've talked to, it seems like there's a little bit more of a emphasis on customer service and the customer service experience, which is great. And I was a little concerned for a time that maybe some of us that were starting businesses, entrepreneurs, and I've already told y'all the difference between entrepreneurship, and owning a business. Those are 3 different things. But for those that are into business and looking to invest a little bit more into the experience, and that's encouraging to see. And I want to share with you a quick story of my own personal experience where I really effed it up. And what I learned from that hopefully you can learn from that and avoid that mistake. And then the last thing, Flourishing Friday, I want to give you the word for the week, and I will share that with you, and that's how we'll close out our show, okay? All right, so let's get started. And a few things before we kick into the first topic. Make sure that if you have mobile app needs that you reach out to Global Innovation Now. Chris Eagleston was on the show several weeks ago. Great guest, and he's out in California. Make sure if you have that need for your business, listen, the technology's not going anywhere. So if you're late to the game, you can find yourself just being late to the game. And you know what that can mean. Your seat's taken. So make sure globalinnovationnow.com. Check out Chris Eagleston for your mobile app needs. Titan Success Academy, my guy Jason Daniels has started a great platform for assisting startup owners. And so we often talk about how there's little resources sometimes for the startup owner that's not in a tech industry or not in education or not in the industry that a lot of funds are flowing through and a lot of attention. Well, Jason has taken it upon himself to share his story and his resources and time to assist startup owners, no matter what your industry is. So make sure you go to TitansSuccessAcademy.com and also check out Titans Electrical, which is his company that works with commercial and residential property for your electrical needs. So make sure you do that, TitansSuccessAcademy.com. One of my favorite podcasts, and very influential podcast for myself and several others, quite frankly, is The Startup Life by Dominic Lawson of Owls LLC. Him and his fantastic wife, Kenda, do a great job in this community. They're a great tandem, very supportive of entrepreneurs near and far. And The Startup Life is a great podcast. You can find it on all the channels that you find us and many others on. But make sure you check that out. Subscribe, share it, and provide feedback. Go in and give a positive rating. We got to support each other. Give a positive rating on The Startup Life by Dominic Lawson. My man, Lawrence Thompson, The Law. Check him out on Facebook Live. Listen, he's got this cool thing going with 15 minutes of fame. That's just phenomenal. Leveraging the technology. He's got guests from all over the world, y'all. If you know Lawrence, you know he's a ball of energy. Very supportive guy. Very well spoken. So, make sure that you support Lawrence Thompson, The Law. He's got a podcast coming out soon called The Antidote, I believe. And so make sure you check that out. I'm going to be speaking tomorrow. I'm on a panel discussing career and family and whatnot at the Level Up Conference. It actually starts today. So you get a chance, get out there today. That's hosted by Cynthia Daniels and Company. Cynthia's got just a plethora of really classy, top-notch events that are coming here in the city. So let's support that, and let's support the folks. I didn't mention everybody. I don't necessarily have time to, introduce and present everybody, but just want to present a few people that have come across my way, and there's just a slew of others. But make sure you support the folks that you interact with day to day. And, that are right in front of your face, whether on social media or on, Instagram, these other areas, LinkedIn, and even face to face. When you come across a small business owner, make sure you support them with a good word, patronizing their business, sharing the business. Don't cost you anything to share someone's business with somebody else. Okay. All right. So, you can check us out, the I Really Mean It Show podcast on iTunes, SoundCloud, Google Play Music, iHeartRadio, YouTube, and we post it on Facebook. So make sure you do that. Listen, give us a good rating on there. That helps with building our listenership, which has been growing very well. And I'm extremely excited about that. So thank you so much for those who have been very supportive and given us great feedback messages. So, all right, without any delay, let's get into the NFL, the No Freedom League. And it's, I find it very interesting with what's going on with the NFL. Jerry Jones, who's the owner of the Cowboys. And for those of you that know me, know that I am a Cowboy supporter. I don't call myself or refer to myself as a fan because I'm not a fanatic. I'm not a fanatic over this shit. I played football for some time, so I understand the game. But I am a supporter of the Dallas Cowboys, at least for the time being. We'll see how things shake up. But Jerry Jones had a letter to his team, and he claims that he was trying to take the onus off the players and put it on himself. You can believe that if you want to. But he's a man that has put his trust and his investment in money, and he's made a whole lot of it in his career. And he's the owner of the Dallas Cowboys, and he's protecting his investment. As a business owner, I can't say that I blame him for that. He is protecting his investment, and he wants to make sure that he can direct some of the attention, some of the negative energy kind of away from players. But here's the thing with this, and there's been a whole lot of commentary on this all week long, of course, whether it's on the various sports channels, on news channels, that kind of thing. And the NFL's really got a public relations concern with this because it's been very divisive to the point where the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, as I mentioned last week, has had just kind of one comment after the other. And so here's the thing. And, you know, when you look at just at a micro level with employers, right? So most of y'all that are working there, most of y'all that work right now, or you've worked a job or whatnot in your past, you know that most employers that are worth their salt give you some level of employee handbook or policy guide or whatnot. They usually have you sign off on it. They review it with you or ask you to review it, ask you, do you have questions about it? And most of the ones that I've seen, there's nothing specific that relates to protesting or your ability to protest or not protest. But when you go in and then you add that at the last bit, so you're working at a local company here. I don't want to use names, but you're working at a local company here. They see all the issues, and then all of a sudden they want to institute a protest policy and say that you can't protest. Well, you've got choices now, huh? So what's your choice? Your choice is you could go against the policy. Okay, if you go against the policy, there's going to be discipline and repercussions for doing so, as it stated or maybe not stated in the employee handbook or guide or policy or whatever it is. Or you can adhere to it because your mindset may be, well, I don't want to upset the apple cart, and there's other ways that I can protest besides violating the policy, and I need my job because I've got to pay these bills, I got to feed these children, my wife or my husband, has needs and things like that. We got to pay this mortgage. And so that's the two dichotomies that you have going at the same time when you look at this. This is no different than the NFL. And there was some conversation on Facebook around, doing some different things with a new league and that kind of thing. One thing that you've got to understand is when it comes to the NFL and the players, the players are employed by the NFL, by the team. No different than any employee. No different than somebody at McDonald's or someone at FedEx or someone for Shelby County Schools. They're employees. Just because a guy has a $10 million contract, so he's getting $10 million over 3 years, right? Keep in mind, the NFL contracts are not guaranteed. But he's an employee. He gets paid just like any other employee. They don't give him $10 million just all up front and he can just go do what he wants. Also keep in mind that NFL play, most states, it's a state of Tennessee has what's called an athlete's tax. So keep in mind, when you're making $10 million over 3 years, guess what tax bracket you're in? Exactly. Now, you want to get on the wrong side of something, get on the wrong side of the IRS. All right, so you got the IRS. Every state is not like Tennessee. There are states that have state income tax, right? That's due. So that's a percentage. And then this athlete's tax. All right, so you get through, after you get taxed and everything as an NFL player, Then you got your agent. See, most of y'all working a job, y'all don't need no agent for $35,000 and $40,000 a year. But when you're making that kind of money, you need to have an agent, you need to have an attorney. Right? They don't work for free. They're not pro bono. You know what I mean? They want money. Okay? So you got to pay them. Then you got your bills that you have, and you're trying to save hopefully something for the future. Although some guys, and it's been well documented for the guys that have, kind of blown their money and things like that on frivolous things and living a very highly materialistic lifestyle. But they're employees. They get paid and they're trying to do just like everybody else. And so, don't think that just because you see a guy get $20 million. Yes, is he making more money than you and a whole lot of other folks? Yeah, he is. Or she is, if she's in a certain league. WNBA players don't seem to make a whole lot of money. I don't understand that. But when you look at the NFL, that's what you got. They're employees. So they have to make the same decisions you and everybody else that's working a job has to. They have rules in place. And then you got to make a decision. Okay. Colin Kaepernick, formerly of the San Francisco 49ers, and who's kind of been dubbed the leader of this movement. That's debatable. But certainly in this hypersensitive kind of environment that we're in now, he's certainly the alpha of that. He made his decision, right? And you see what it's cost him. And his inability now to secure a job in the NFL because the owners are, they're weak-hearted, just to say the least. I tried to come up with a reasonable way to say it, but they're weak. And none of them want to have the courage to add him because they don't want the backlash from their certain population of fans or their certain population of supporters. So they lack the courage in that. And so it's interesting how you compare the two, but y'all know that, again, these are employees and they're going to make whatever call they have to make personally. Now, with that, whatever call that they make doesn't make them strong or weak or woke or not woke and all the shit that, we talk about, but they have to make that personal decision. Now, there's other ways, and this is something that gets missed in all the movement in terms of how people can protest and help be progressors of change. Everybody doesn't need to stand down the street with their fist up. Let me say that. Everybody doesn't need to stand outside with their fist up. One of the things we could tend to miss is the diversity in the approach. If you look at past protests and things where results happen, it's because you had diversity. Everybody's not standing out doing the same thing. We tend to have this homogenous approach to it where we down people that we don't see on TV, walking around with a sign and with their fist up. There's other ways to support the movement and even drive the movement even further. A la those that are in Nashville, who go up to Nashville, those who decide to run for office themselves, and even more importantly than all of that, those who decide and take the time and have the courage to go into the neighborhood and teach and educate and model positive behavior. All of that doesn't get seen. All that's not on the camera. All that's not sexy for a Facebook post to get likes and comments and shares. But those are ways, ladies and gentlemen, that you can support movements. Everything doesn't have to be kneeling at the anthem or staying in the tunnel during the anthem or, balling up the flag and doing all this stuff. It's good for some of us to do that. I saw Jay Morrison down in Atlanta protesting at Houston's restaurant that discriminated against him and his team. Rightfully so. He had T.I. and Tiny and some people out there, and I saw some of the videos. Again, that's much needed. You spend the political capital on that because that was ridiculous the way that they were treated. Without any question. That was ridiculous. And Jay and his lovely lady and T.I. and Tanya and everybody, they had every right to do that. But that's not for everybody. Right? See, there's so many levels to this thing that we miss it when everybody tries to be homogenous and do the same thing. Now, I'm not saying you shy away from it, but it's not for everybody. Some people have to be on, just like in any war. Everybody's not on the island on D-Day in World War II. Some people had to be in different roles. And you could debate whether one role is more important than the other. But I'm just telling y'all, there's so many different diverse ways. Also keep in mind that most progress that's made through protests, the diversity is not just everybody look the same. Oh, I'm about to be like Big Sean. I got the moves. I had the moves on that one. No, everybody doesn't have to look the same. Any of these movements have had people of different cultures be supportive. Even ones from the culture that is from the oppressed or the oppressor. They're those that come support. And I'll talk a little bit about that from an Eminem standpoint. Okay? We got to get out of this thing. It's the same. We do the same thing in business. We think that, when we do business with each other, that we're only supposed to take each other's money. No, that's not what they do, right? They have folks open up a business. Anybody, if money is their sole approach or their only approach or one of their approaches, whatever it is, they take money from anybody. Huh? Not just, because you look like me. Anybody come in that store, for other cultures, they don't care where you're from. Hey, as long as you come with that same dollar bill that I accept, bring it on. We gotta get a little bit more heterogeneous in our approach with this thing. That's what's really going to make it move. You want to affect the NFL? Hit them in the pocketbook. Jemele Hill took some more heat this week from ESPN for her comments about Donald Trump and all that kind of thing. Yeah, we should support her, definitely. And I like that her colleague Michael supported her as well in that. Yeah, that was big up to him. That was really tight. But with this whole thing, don't be so quick to admonish somebody because they're not going through the same approach that you are. All right, everything's not going to be visible on the front line to get you on TV so that you can make a prestigious name for yourself. Right? There's always unsung heroes in every game. All right, whether it's football, basketball, soccer, whatever, there's always people that help you win that don't have big stats. They set the right screen, they catch a pass and they make two guys miss where it normally would have been a 3-yard loss. Now it's a 5-yard gain, puts you in field goal range, kick the field goal, you win by 1, see you later. The guy that gets Michael Jordan open for the game-winning shot, or Kobe Bryant, sets the screen, makes a good crisp pass. The coach that draws up the play. Huh? Everything's not, you got to be Kobe Bryant or you got to be Michael Jordan. Or you got to be Tom Brady or anybody else. We expect everybody to be that a lot of times. Everybody's not going to be that. You can't admonish people for that. There are people right now today that are inside. They infiltrated the system. And you have to support them and help them work. Okay? But the NFL has got a major problem. Other leagues have not really faced it. Baseball hasn't really faced it. The NBA seems to have already kind of addressed it. It'll be interesting to see how that is once the season starts. But, man, the NFL, I just don't know. I don't know, baby. All right, so let's move forward from that, if all minds are clear, at least for the moment. Rapper Eminem came out back in, I want to say, late 90s, around 99 when he came out with that whole Slim Shady thing. And in some circles, he's been considered one of the top rappers of all time. And I'm not here to debate that. This isn't no BET rap, basement show where we're going to sit up and debate who the best rappers are and things like that. But Eminem is, in a lot of circles, is considered one of the top rappers of all time, and he had a very scathing freestyle that I want to, play for you. If you haven't had a chance to listen, it is all over. I mean, all over. It's trending #1. It is, all over YouTube and things like that. This is from the BET Awards, rapper Eminem, and he's relating this subject to the current president of the United States, Donald J. Trump. Take a listen.
It's the calm before the storm right here. Wait, how was I gonna start this off? I forgot. Oh yeah. That's an awfully hot coffee pot. Should I drop it on Donald Trump? Probably not, but that's all I got till I come up with a solid. Got a plan and now I gotta hatch it like a damn Apache with a tomahawk. I'ma walk inside a mosque on Ramadan and say a prayer that every time talks, she gets a I'ma stop. But we better give Obama props, cause what we got in office now's a kamikaze that'll probably cause a nuclear holocaust. And while the drama pops and he waits for shit to quiet down, he'll just gas his plane up and fly around till the bombing stops. Intensity's heightened, tensions are rising. Trump, when it comes to giving a shit, you're stingy as I am. Except when it comes to having the balls to go against me, you hide them. Cause you don't got the nuts like an empty asylum. Racism's the only thing he's fantastic for. Cause that's how he gets his rocks off and he's orange. Yeah, sick tan. That's why he wants us to disband, cause he cannot withstand the fact we're not afraid of Trump. Walking on eggshells, I came to stomp. That's why he keeps screaming, drain the swamp, cause he's in quicksand. It's like we take a step forwards, then backwards. But this is his form of distraction. Plus he gets an enormous reaction when he attacks the NFL, so we focus on that instead of talking Puerto Rico with gun reform for Nevada, all these horrible tragedies, and he's bored and would rather cause a Twitter storm with the Packers. Then says he wants to lower our taxes. Then who's gonna pay for his extravagant trips back and forth with his fam to his golf resorts and his mansions? Same shit that he tormented Hillary for and he slandered, then does it more. From his endorsement of banning support for the Klansmen, tiki torches in hand for the soldier that's black and comes home from Iraq and is still told to go back to Africa, fork and a dagger in this racist 94-year-old grandpa who keeps ignoring our past historical deplorable factors. Now if you're a black athlete, you're a spoiled little brat for trying to use your platform or your stature to try to give those a voice who don't have one. He says you're spitting in the face of vets who fought for us, you bastards. Unless you're a POW who's tortured and battered, cause to him you're zeros cause he don't like his war heroes captured. That's not disrespecting the military. That. This is for Colin. Ball up a fist. And keep that shit balled like Donald the bitch. He's gonna get rid of all immigrants. He's gonna build that thing up taller than this. Well, if he does build it, I hope it's rock solid with bricks. Cause like him in politics, I'm using all of his tricks. Cause I'm throwing that piece of shit against the wall till it stinks. And any fan of mine who's a supporter of his, I'm drawing in the sand a line. You're either for or against. And if you can't decide who you like more and you're split on who you should stand beside, I'll do it for you with this. You. The rest of America, stand up. We love our military and we love our country, but we hate Trump!
All right, so that was rapper Eminem with his very vicious freestyle towards the current topics, and specifically towards President Donald J. Trump. So I'd love to hear y'all's thoughts on it if you've had a chance to see it or kind of hear it. Now that you've had a chance to hear it, of course, but go to I Really Mean It with RGB on Facebook. I'm on Instagram, I_am_RGB. That's on Instagram. And I'd love to hear your comments or your thoughts. Message me on that. I've got a post on Facebook with it, so make sure that you share your thoughts on it. But it's been getting a lot of buzz. Hey, listen, I'm not here right now to debate politics from the standpoint of parties and all that kind of thing. And I've shared that with y'all before. I think that it was a very unique, very creative freestyle, no matter how you feel about the president. So if he had done this kind of freestyle with President Barack Obama, the former president, or President George Bush, President Ronald Reagan, President Gerald Ford, President John F. Kennedy, whoever it is, President Abraham Lincoln, whoever, I think it would have been very creative and very approaching of his expression and his feelings. So don't take this as whether you support or don't support, because this country is so divided right now in its approach. Everything is a two-sided issue where either you're for or against, and we've got to get away from that. But I do applaud him for again, that's part of his First Amendment right that we all have, and he's able to express himself. And again, you may agree with his stance, you may not agree with his stance, or you may be somewhere in the middle. I mean, hell, who knows? But I thought it was just a really vicious kind of approach. Lyrically, Eminem's always been nasty like that, but man, I'd love to hear y'all thoughts on that. All right, let's keep this thing moving. I Really Mean It Show podcast with RGB and Makita's Cookies. So shout out to my girl Tamika. Listen, let me tell you a little bit about Makita. And again, like I told you in the opening, I'm not going to get into the whole backstory, because it would really touch you if you knew the story of Makita's Cookies. But I do want to share with you today, they got two locations, 2370 Airways Boulevard and 488 South 2nd Street, that's downtown. Makita's Cookies is makitascookies.com, MAKEDASCOOKIES.com. Listen, you're talking about some of the best cookies going. You can find them in a lot of the Kroger stores and kind of around. They support various local events. They've been very supportive of myself from the Entre Memphis days, and even going back further than that. So really shout out to Tamika. I love to see her out. She's got great energy, her and her whole team. Coming up for them, you'll find them at Soulsville Festival. That's on October 21st. They have the 901 Kidpreneur, which is great for your young people, by the way. Bring them out, get them involved in that. Whether you're interested in entrepreneurship or not, it's great skill building, it's great networking, not just for yourself, but for your young people. But that's on October 28th. That's the 901 Kidpreneur. And then you can also catch them here coming up at the J Discreet Listening Session, which is October the 29th. You can find Makita's Cookies. But like them on Facebook, find Makita's Cookies, and again, visit them online. But go by one of their shops, tell them RGB sent you, that you heard it on the I Really Mean It Show podcast. And if you see Tamika, give her some dap, tell her I said what's up, tell her what's up, and make sure that you're supportive of Makita's Cookies. All right, so we're gonna keep this thing moving. I talked about in the opening, and this is really related to Makita's Cookies, when you talk about the importance of customer service and experience. So one of the things that makes Makita's Cookies really great over the years, and that you don't last 18 years, especially in this environment, if you're not doing things right. One of the things that you have to get right kind of on the front end, spend time cultivating, is customer service and the customer experience with your business. You can have the best product, you can have the best service, you can make your website look the best in the world, you can have this great Facebook page with all these followers, but if the experience is not there, you see what's happening in retail. is the online experience is trumping the face-to-face experience because of the convenience and the lower cost and overhead and the ability for businesses to scale better. Customer service and the customer experience is vital. Or if you're in a nonprofit, maybe you refer to it as members and things like that. But it is really critical to have a really strong and evolving customer service and customer experience platform. And Makita's Cookies has that. So when you walk in, you're treated with respect. They greet you. They help you understand the various choice options, and then they follow up with you as you do business with them over time. And so you always feel the level of connection with them. Hell, anybody can go and order some cookies from someplace online and have it shipped to them, right? Nothing wrong with that, but when you get a chance to get out and meet people like Tamika and her whole team, when you go by one of their stores or you see them at an event, they really focus in on the energy around your experience, right? So you put that on top of having a really good product like they do. That's a good recipe for success. Let me tell you a quick story of when I really effed this up. And I say that, and not to be facetious or anything like that, but I really took this to heart, and it's been able to help me going forward. Because there was a time where I did not invest in the customer service or customer experience within the business. I had a store over in Midtown, just outside of Overton Square. It was a consignment store called Minding Your Business. Shout out to my family, Cleo, for all the work that he did to help me get that up and going, and we were able to find some success with that. But here's an area where I spent a lot of time getting the building together, and Cleo and I and several others. What up, Greg, and several others that helped with getting the building together. I spent this time, with the logo. I spent a lot of time with the website. I spent a lot of time with the business model of how we're going to obtain clothes and then be able to essentially act as an agent and sell them for people, and this whole thing and how it was going to connect, right? And I did not focus a lot on customer service and experience. I got the point of sale system. Matter of fact, I was one of the first in the area to use the tablet. I had a Samsung tablet that I used a Square on. Back when everybody was still spending all that money for the machines and all that. I had people were scared to use their finger to sign for, their purchases and things like that. Hell, now everybody does it. But, this is back in time. So this is going to 2012. And shout out to Mainstream too. He was a big help in helping promote that particular business. So, I spent all this time, like I told y'all, in all these different areas, talking to people, things like that. I did not spend a lot of time in the customer service experience of when you actually come to the store, what should you do besides just see racks of clothes, right? And me and someone else standing there, hoping that you buy something or you bring something that we can't sell. And what happened was, even though I had a solid point of sale system where I could enter the clothes in and, tag them and all this kind of stuff, we didn't do a great job of the experience and building the relationships with people who brought us clothes. I had this mindset and expectation that they were just going to do it because they liked me and I had the store and I had the platform for them to do it, right? And what happened is as people were doing this, y'all, they would bring us clothes, but we didn't do a good job of putting them in the damn system or tagging them. So now when people are coming up, and people are funny, in a consignment kind of business, if they donate it to you like it's the Goodwill, they don't really care about what you do with it, right? But in a consignment situation, they want to know, okay, if I brought you X amount of clothes and they're going to be priced at this, I'm going to make a certain percentage, right? So there's an expectation. We didn't do a good job of managing that expectation. We didn't. And that was on me because I was the leader of the business. And yes, I had mishaps. I had an employee that I hired. She just disappeared on me. That happens. Now, you can't invest without taking a few L's. And trust, if I had enough time, I'd tell you about a whole lot of L's I've taken in this game. And I'm only 36, right? So I got a good ways to go, y'all. But we did not invest, and I did not lead the investment in the customer service experience. So like I said, people were coming up, hey, what's the status of my clothes? Or even looking for their clothes. We can't find it. We got it scattered all over the damn store. We don't have it properly tagged in the system. So the system shows we have it, but then you look out there, we don't have it, right? I mean, it's just crazy all over the place. But so I had to learn from that experience, because that resulted in bad customer service, bad customer experience. So what happens is people won't come back and patronize your store, or they'll be slowful in doing so and a little bit guarded on doing so because their experience was not optimized. So I'm encouraging everybody to, as you're building your business, whether your brand's been around for upteen number of years or you're starting your business today and you just thought of an idea 5 minutes ago while you were listening to that Eminem freestyle. Make sure that you don't spend so much time with the outward appearance of the business, in terms of, spend so much time babying the website, or so much time babying the Facebook page or the Instagram account, or, so much time on the outward stuff, your logo, your business cards. All that is in play, definitely. Make sure as you're developing a business model, make sure you have a sustainable customer service, member service, whatever it is, experience. Okay? It's very vital to the longevity of your business, because you'll see that even businesses that have somewhat mediocre product or service, if they've got really good customer service, you know what I mean? Where they're very attentive and very energetic, you'll find that business have a level of success even though they're fairly mediocre in their model. Vice versa, you'll find businesses that have great products and services, great people, great location, great website, great Facebook page, great Twitter, all over LinkedIn. But then you'll sit there and wonder, you'll talk to the owner and you'll be wondering, you look at their financials, you look at the balance sheet, look at the income statement, and you're trying to figure out, man, you got all these things in play. You've invested all this resource into these different platforms and channels of delivery and all this. And at the end of the day, you're not doing business, And what you can tie into is, unless they're doing something unscrupulous or they're missing something, you can usually go back and observe their customer service or their experience. Just like the guy on the show, The Prophet, where he comes into these restaurants and he's able to see, what they're doing and what their mindset is and their approach. But one of the things he does is he observes business as usual. Just observe a day in the life. When I coach and lead people in my profession, I learned early on that people will tell you anything. People make their mouth say anything, right? So in a one-on-one, RGB, everything's great. I got this, I got that. I love the company. I love this. Blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. All right. When you observe people in their natural habitat, what you find out is they can't bullshit you. Okay? Because people naturally, the human being is naturally going to refer back to what they do and what they know. They can only BS for so long. Then you get to a point to where when the pressure of being in front of a customer or having to fulfill a process and you're being observed, you're going to go back to the habits that you have. Huh? Yeah. You're going to go back to the natural habits that you have every time. So it's very important that you spend time really cultivating this. I'm just telling you. Because if you fail to do that, you may find your business really suffering, y'all, and you won't really know it. So make sure, and customer service is not always easy because a lot of us aren't good customers. We don't know how to be good customers. We're different depending on sometimes where your business is located or how the owner looks. You know? And so some of us haven't been trained to be really good customers. And that can make it difficult dealing with people. And hell no, the customer's not always right. And in most cases, the customer's dead wrong. All right? But you're running a business. So you're in the business of what? Maximizing the experience for your customer. That's what you're doing. You're creating an experience. What do you want that experience to be? When I do this podcast, I'm building on an experience. I want you to have an experience when you listen to this. I don't just do this just because I ain't got nothing else better to do. And I don't make money doing this. Okay? I just enjoy sharing. I want to build on a platform to be able to share information like what I shared with my story on the consignment store. That turned out to have a happy ending, by the way, because I was able to sell it, and which is kind of unique to sell a consignment store considering you don't really own much asset, but the people love the name, minding your business, and they're doing well down in Mississippi. But customer service and that customer experience is vital, y'all. Don't forget that as you're starting your business or you've been in business 1,000 years. Don't forget the experience, not just customer service, but the experience. What do they experience when they get to your website, when they call you on the phone, when they text you, when they email you, when they communicate with you on Instagram, on social media, Facebook and whatnot, Snapchat and all this stuff? What do you post about that they see? Because, you know, potential customers and customers see what you post, whether it's your personal page or on the business. Make sure that those things line up. Okay? And that you give off the type of message that you want if you want them to have the kind of experience that you hope for them to have. All right? All right, so last thing we've got, and then we'll get out of here. Flourishing Friday. So I told you I'm gonna provide you kind of a word as Friday. We're ending a week and we're going to next week. Okay? So what I want you to take with you this week, and this is critical and it goes back to my conversation that I had a few weeks ago with you all from distinguishing the difference between entrepreneurship and entrepreneurship. And I think a lot of people are finding out that they're not as much entrepreneurs as they are entrepreneurs. The reason some of us an entrepreneur may be the right fit for some people, but a lot of people took entrepreneurship because that was the sexy term, and they took that. It was all over the place. And we've had this conversation already. But most of us actually, and particularly those of us in this Memphis community, because there's so much need, and many of us come from the neighborhoods that embody and make up this Memphis community. And we've grown up seeing a lot of the need, and we feel compelled to give back. And that's what the word is for this week. As you have your business, whether you're at work, working a job, so you're sitting in an office, you're sitting in a cubicle right now today, or you've got your business, you're freelancing, you're in your car, you're listening through your tablet, you're on your laptop, your PC, your Mac, whatever it is, you're on your phone. Make sure that what you do has some fiduciary duty tied back to the community. And when you look at what Makita's Cookies does, you look at Global Innovation Now, you look at Lawrence Thompson, Dominic with the Startup Life, Cynthia with Level Up Conference, and just a slew, DeJuan Hendricks, Deverett Watson with Credible Concepts. And there's just a slew. I could go all day naming people that are out here really making it happen, but all of them have a tie-in to giving back to the community in some kind of way, whether it's building on a skill set, whether it's blight control and growth there, educating young people, modeling, again, positive behavior for young people. You also remember Brittany Thornton was on the show with Juice Orange Mound, and she's making headway. Matter of fact, in a couple of weeks, don't forget about Around the Mound, the 5K in Orange Mound. Make sure you get with Brittany Thornton, or get with me and let me know, and I'll get you to the right, the right direction on that. But Brittany talked about, her motivation from Orange Mound back a few weeks ago. And so you see people, looking to give back to the community. So don't make your business just about making money. there are a lot of poor businesses that are poor just because all they do is make money. And you've seen the meme, and I've shared the meme, many others have shared the meme, whatever. But there are a lot of businesses that are just poor in culture or poor in taste, because all they're about is making money. And that's it. But there's so much more than just starting a business to manage your lifestyle, right? We all have a responsibility back to the community. And I would encourage all of us, and I would challenge all of us, including myself, to give back to this community and the communities that you serve. And so how do you give back? You give back through, one, modeling positive behavior. Let people see an example, right? You don't have to go spend a bunch of money, and you don't have to go, put yourself on Front Street and all this kind of thing. Let your family see how you model your behavior as an owner. Let your friends see that, and let the community see that. So that's first and foremost. Get involved with organizations, right? Make the time to do that. Model that same behavior before children and things like that. Men, let your families, let your children see you on the front line leading. Take a stance on something. Don't just be scary of a company because, I got to feed my family, so I'm going to let the boss man and the boss lady talk to me any kind of way. And, I'm just going to sit here and I'm not going to participate because, all I want to be able to do is just, put my direct deposit in my account and stay off the radar and post on Facebook a little bit and go on about my business. Okay. But at some point you got to lead. Okay. At some point you get exposed if you're not. Women, be supportive of leadership and lead in your own way as it sees fit. Because women are out here leading many things out here, which is fantastic. And I love to see it. And you're talking to a dad that's got 3 young girls, right? And I want to teach them to be able to lead, to accept leadership, and to be able to lead in their own right, in their own way. And so give back to the community. Do something positive. Give a positive word. Don't forget about youth. Don't forget about the seniors out here. And your business should have some kind of tie-in back to them. So that should be a part of your model is, how are you giving back? You heard, I talked earlier about Jason Daniels with Titan Success Academy. He's got a business that he's had for a few years now. He doesn't need to share his resources and his time with you. He could be spending his time in Titans Electrical, right? But he's taken the time to put a platform together to share stories, to share best practices, to provide a platform for people to avoid maybe some of the mistakes he made, right? That I've made, that others have made, so that you can be better. And there's several people around that are doing that. So look to give back to the community as best that you can. And if you do that, you'll find yourself with a very rich business. I am your host, RGB. This is the I Really Mean It Show podcast. You can catch us iTunes, SoundCloud, Google Play Music, iHeartRadio, YouTube, Facebook.
Podcast with your host, RGB.
Thank you so much on today. I hope you have a fantastic weekend and an even better week on next week. And let's keep the things moving. Don't worry so much about what the NFL's doing and all that. They'll be all right. Make sure you support the folks that I've mentioned. I hope to mention some more here soon. And don't forget about Makita's Cookies. Again, 2370 Airways Boulevard, 488 South 2nd Street, downtown Memphis. I'm RGB, and I'm out. Peace.